everyone. Guess what's just landed? And of course, it's arrived just in time for Danielle, who is actually one of our co-authors. So Think Limitlessly is one of the anthologies that really actually showcases, in this particular case, women who are actually thinking absolutely limitlessly. So welcome, Danielle.
Thank you.
A pleasure to have you actually part of this journey. And let me see if I can actually grab her chapter. Can I possibly land on her chapter? I don't know. Is that it? No. Anyway, you will actually be surprised and thrilled as you read her story. So, Danielle, I'm going to ask you a few things about your chapter, but I don't want you to give too much away. But I think it's really important for people to really get to see the true you, particularly in books like this. And more importantly, not who you are today, but also who you choose to be. For me, that's a really big piece. So can I get you to give me a little bit of insight as to what your chapter, was about?
Yeah, completely. So my chapter, it was a real journey for me to even write it. It went back to my childhood, the background that I grew up in. I grew up in a council estate with my mum and my brother. So she was always very supportive, and the person that now I look back has turned me into me and who has made me think limitlessly. I then from there go speak about my journey to London and then to Australia. I've always been in the recruitment industry. It was only 3 years ago that I decided to take the leap of faith and set up my own company. And then from there, even that was the pandemic, but even that was like a rebirth for me. We've done a lot for charities, paying it forward. And it's just, it's the power of connection and kindness. It's, it really pays off, and that's what I'm really passionate about, and success from that.
Well, one of the things I think that you start off with is you actually talk about, the actual ending or the beginning actually starts at the end of your comfort zone. And you share a few little stories, around that. So yes. How about you give us a snippet of one of those situations?
Yeah, well, so at 33, I was headhunted for a position in Australia. So to come from the other side of the world, coming from London. And at that time, every one of my friends, they were settling down, they're having children. And I didn't have the butterflies, or I wasn't the norm. So I took that massive leap of faith. It happened so quickly. And then look, the rest is history. Really. So it is just about taking those chances, and definitely the life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's actually a magnet that I've got on my fridge, because my first week in Sydney, I got totally lost. I was going to meet some friends after work and totally took the wrong direction. And I actually just saw it in the window of a bookshop and I went to buy it. And that's been my motto kind of ever since. So yeah, just shows.
Well, then I guess what you've done from there is taking the next step, which was your leap of faith.
100% my leap of faith. I've been in the recruitment industry for over 20 years, and I've always dreamt maybe running my own company. And I didn't. I took the leap of faith 3 years ago, and it was in a tough time in my life. I was a mum of 2. There's no flexibility, lots of people burning out, and it really was a chance that, and probably a lot of people doubted me, to be honest, if it was the right decision and the right timing. But from that, even though I started and the pandemic hit, I haven't looked back. Really focused on paying it forward, connecting, and really kind of giving back as well, and not just doing recruitment. So with that, I've just found that really, really rewarding.
I think one of the things a lot of people have actually talked about, particularly through the pandemic, was that pivoting piece. But I think, we can look at pivoting in so many different ways, and you have actually touched on those. For me, it was almost a similar path, to you. It was, but what am I going to choose to actually do? It wasn't just about a job. It wasn't just about a career. It was, that pivotal moment was actually a moment to really encapsulate everything that you wanted to do. And you talk about, the things that I'm passionate about, so that paying it forward. So give us a little bit of a synopsis as to what you were thinking about, when you've made the decision, but then it wasn't just about that one decision.
Yeah, completely. So with the pandemic, obviously recruitment, it just froze. There is, you're doing kind of business development, you're establishing your client relationships, but there is nothing there. And being in Sydney for over 10 years, I had a great network of candidates, and that was the pain point. They were really suffering. They were reaching out to me, and I, if anything, turned out to be a bit of a therapist for them. So as much as they were applying for, 30, 40 jobs a day, and you could see on LinkedIn, there's 400 plus applications. And these were amazing executive assistants and C-suite executives, assistants and office managers, and their just morale was so low. So from this, I started a support kind of group. Every month we would get together on a Zoom call, and we just kind of kept each other. I'd offer training. We did like LinkedIn profiles, interview questions, these things to just try and connect and bring each other together. It started off as a group of 8, and then we actually started getting guest speakers in, and these grew to kind of triple numbers in figures of, we have our virtual coffee and learn, and the people that we reached out to represent us and collaborate would be mental health speakers, coaches, and just people that could really, and not even people that are looking for jobs, they join in now, because it is that sense of community and actually, really bringing each other together and just learning along the way.
And what you were actually doing in just listening to you, and obviously in reading your story, was you created this belief system, always believe in who you are. Yeah. Despite what is happening around you, believe in you. And you talk about that in your chapter as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. With regards to when we first started doing the coffee and learns, there was an amazing group of ladies that they were on every call, and we really came together, and we actually founded a volunteer group called WR Angels. And these, again, C-suite executives, office managers, great connections, and even the projects that we've done together, kind of move and paying that forward, have been immense. We've helped people in domestic violence charities, women in trouble. We've also, we've done shoes for Planet Life. There's loads of things that we've just done to pay it forward, that we're still we're doing some great projects now to this day. So it's really great.
Through that process, again, following on from what you actually share in your chapter, that process has actually broken down so many different barriers, barriers that we actually hold within ourselves, barriers that we actually have within community, barriers in the office, between different sectors. Tell me about your thought process around how valuable it is to break down barriers.
I think it's just to break down the barrier. It's so important. I think, especially, I see speaking to people now, even coming back to the office and from the pandemic, and I'm even seeing a lot of burnout of what people are experiencing, because they're now trying to kind of go back, and the juggle is real. It's great to see that, because I'm in the executive assistant space, these are usually people that would work 24/7, and they're compromising their work life and their family life to actually fulfill their job. And we're working on some positions at the moment, and these people now, they're putting those barriers in place. They're actually the ones that are like, no, I want the flexibility. I'm offering these salaries to them that kind of third higher than they would have been last year, that they would have jumped at, but now they're like, no, this is what's important. So I think it's even for us to push back as speak to the clients of those barriers that they have, to try and educate them. Can't happen everywhere, but it's I think people are very much aware of their mental health now, which has been a big barrier through many people's challenges and obstacles that come along. And it's so great that everyone's speaking about it, and health and well-being a lot more now, because a lot of people have experienced burnout and they didn't even know it, so they just kept on going.
It's that silent burner. You just add a little bit more and a little bit more, and then all of a sudden you get to a point and you go, what's going on? I don't understand. and you've hit that point of burnout and you don't even know that you're there, right? So this isn't your first rodeo.
Oh.
I guess one of the things, there are so many people that actually want to share a story. They want to actually be involved. I don't know how to do it. So can you actually give people who are either thinking about it or who will be reading your chapter, about what it was like for you? But in particular, this case, because this is the book that we're talking about. So what was that like for you?
It was, it's what it comes down to is taking every opportunity or every connection that is presented to you. We even laugh of how we're even affiliated now, when it's just kind of 2 years ago we just had a kind of an organic conversation. And that's even what's happened with regards to, I've written a chapter in another book because I was nominated for one of the Osmompreneur Awards, and it's just the power of connection and the ripple effect of who we have around us. And I know you're very much don't sleepwalk through life, and it's very much having your eyes open and just believing in yourself. If someone told me 2 years ago that I had written 2 chapters in books and collaborated with such amazing people, I wouldn't have thought it. So it's really believe in yourself, break the boundaries.
Yeah.
Do it.
And what about the process in writing? Like, what was that like for you?
To be honest, the first book that I did, it was a collaboration with, I think it was 23 women, and it was about paying it forward, and it was very much a flow for me, and it was really good to put pen to paper. This book for me was a real journey. I think it was about 5 types, and if anything, it was very therapeutic because I actually really went back to my roots. I went back to my childhood and actually spoke through my whole life journey, which I think is great for anyone to really kind of put pen to paper to do, because it's really uplifting. And then from that, it's the things that we take for granted is actually such a lesson for others. And so and then from that, when you've read that yourself, and it's the lessons that you learn along the way that you didn't even learn. So it's it was definitely a journey, but a great one, and something that I'm really privileged to be part of, to be in this book for.
So when you look at, I guess, the evolving person that you have become, not just in the last 3 years or even through this chapter, just who you are as a person, would you have anticipated any of the steps, that you've taken?
To be honest, I always knew that I'm a go-getter. And I say in one of my chapter, I'm the person that believes in the artsy and not just the threes. I'm always that one that wants to go that extra step, and I always kind of believe in it. And I've always approached things with a very positive mind. That I owe a lot of testament to that to my mum. So yes, but I would never have written the path of where I'm at kind of now, if that makes sense. One thing that I do highlight in my chapter is about our superpower. Everyone's got our own unique genius, and mine is very much my relationship management, my ability to connect with people, which I took for granted so much as I was kind of growing up. I thought, yes, of course it's a strength, but then actually honing in on that and actually now using that to pay it forward and bring other people together and what we can do and get the results, that just shows. So I highlight, I recommend everyone to find their superpower, because you can always keep building on it. And so you can always be limitless.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because we do things innately and don't think anything of it, but the gift that you actually have, you have applied it in your work, but more importantly, the greater power that you have, which is that ripple effect, that think limitlessly, is that you're now actually showing others. You're showing them how they can actually do the same thing, whether it's a similar gift to what you have or whether it's something different. And that's the difference, so you do it on almost multiple levels, because you're also working with corporates.
Yeah.
right? But you're also then bringing somebody else into that equation, into their community, into, you know, so you're working at two different levels. Did you even understand the complexity of that?
Well, my motto from a very young age, I got into recruitment when I was 25, and it was always with changing lives, because it's what I'm really passionate about, and that's been my motto to this day. Now that then I look at it and the ripple effect and on a bigger scale, it just shows as well that I can still be limitless and I can still keep pushing forward and do it in so many other ways. So there's still lots that I can want to achieve and can achieve, but also have an impact on others in that positive way to help them.
So you give away 5 tips. Do you remember any of your tips?
I do indeed.
You want to share one?
I'll share one. Well, it's all, and the thing is, we've discussed it now, but it is my massive one, is life begins at the end of your comfort zone. So you have to take that leap of faith.
And it is such a big one. There's so many things that actually prevent us from doing that. But if you can do it, then everybody can do it, right?
Definitely.
So is there anything that you actually want to share with either the readers that are, you know, going to pick up this beautiful book, or with somebody who's actually going to pick up and listen to this video and see you talking? Anything as a final giveaway?
Yeah, no, I just encourage, I think you've taken a great step even to pick up the book and take on board the lessons and lead with an open heart. And I think we can all, as the chapter says and as the cover says, think limitlessly, and it's all our individual journey. So don't compare yourself, just be yourself, and good luck on the journey.
Well, Danielle, it has honestly been a pleasure, not just to actually have you in this book, but to actually see you grow, like, you know, even through your writing, the way that you actually did each step, each edit, you know, I actually saw that depth in you evolve. So thank you. It's been an absolute privilege.
Yeah.
And here it is. Have a read, because Danielle honestly is an incredible human. Most importantly, she's actually more than just a HR person. You've heard a little bit more about who she is and who she chooses to be. So connect with her. You know, she's actually opened up and extended that olive branch. That's it from me. Danielle, did you want to say anything else?
No,
as an
thank you so much. And thank you, Cathy, for your support. And it's a pleasure being on this journey with you.
Thank you. We'll wrap it up here.